You've got one life to live. Love yourself, be kind to others, break free and let your spirit soar. Empower life with Cleopatra will help you awaken the best version of you. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh.
Hello, 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 hello. Can you guys see me and hear me? Okay. Hello. Okay, what's happening with my... Hello, can you guys see me? Hello, can you guys see me now? The devil is a liar. I get little attacks like this now and again, but it's all good. Good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. My royals, it's the first day of February. Honestly, where is the year running to? Honestly, I cannot believe we're already in February. Happy new month. Happy new month. Hi, Ryan. We can hear you, but cannot see you. But I hope you can see me now. I hope you can see me now. Let me know if you can see me. I think I can see myself actually. But yeah, I cannot believe. Hi, Maureen. Thank you so much for joining, my darling. Ryan, Maureen. Oh, Robin, can hear you but cannot see. Now you can see me. Hi, Riri. Hi, Priscilla. Oh my gosh, it's a full house and there's more coming. Oh my goodness. Welcome, 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 everyone. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you for the compliment, Ryan. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Listen, I'm glad there are men on this show tonight because actually, I had requests from men even to do this show again. I had some. I did this show last year. Actually, this time last year, I think it was about in February of last year. I did this show, and it really went down very well. But I think a lot of people wanted more because they felt like there was not a lot of theoretical side of it. Because I brought in two fabulous, fabulous, fabulous ladies to come and share their experiences on menopause. And honestly, it was such an eye opener for a lot of women who were experiencing something similar, but they didn't really know what they were experiencing because they had not known about it before. So it was really an eye opener for them. But people wanted me to talk about the theoretical aspect of it and just go in depth because what my ladies came to share were from their perspective. And I know I talked a little bit about it, but this is more like, more of an in-depth into it so that for those who ask for it, we have more understanding about it. Yeah, so welcome, 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 everybody. Yeah, let me ask you guys this. Actually, before I even do that, I need to actually mention one or two things. So like I said, thank you all for coming and thank you for joining me tonight. If you are watching this show, when you come back to watch the show, please always watch it to the end. Yeah, watch it to the end because that way YouTube will recommend it to somebody else. But like I said, welcome back to Empower Life with Cleopatra. This is the show where knowledge becomes power, silence is broken, and we tell the truth about your body. We try to burst every myth, especially those that are harmful to you, and we empower women to thrive confidently at every stage. And when we do the men's show, we empower them as well. And any show we do, we really try to empower people as much as we can. That's what this whole show is about. And I hope you guys appreciate the amount of work and effort that goes into it. Yeah, it's sleepless nights most of the time. But if you're coming to watch this show, please always watch it to the end, like I said. But let me ask you this question. Why is puberty celebrated? Why is pregnancy supported? But when it comes to menopause, it is whispered about, it is dismissed, and it is minimized. Actually, most women feel embarrassed to talk about it. Why is that? Why are millions of women told they are overreacting? All right. When they start going through this hormonal change and things are just like going crazy in their lives at that time, why do people say they are overreacting? Okay, well, today we are not whispering about it. We are telling the truth about menopause today. This is the science. We're talking about the science, the risks, the options, and we're going to empower you to be able to get prepared for it. And whether you're a man or woman, everybody needs to hear this, because if you're a man, your wife, your sister, your mother, your girlfriend, your baby mama, they all go through it. They will go through it at some point. Okay? Right. Um, please, if you know somebody that needs to hear this, please share. Right. And don't forget, like I always said, guys, I need you guys to help me share these videos and share this, because a lot of people need to hear this. Yeah, please share for me. And I need to hit my next goal in terms of my subscription as well. Right. Okay. So let's talk about what menopause is. Before we do that, let me just play this short video for you and then I can talk about it more. Hello, Mr. Solomon. Thank you so much for joining.
Larissa is 52 and is starting to notice changes with her body. She wonders, is this menopause? What is menopause? Menopause is a normal part of aging for women. Specifically, it is a point in time 12 months after a woman's last period. The years leading up to that point are called the menopausal transition, or perimenopause. The menopausal transition typically begins between ages 45 and 55 and lasts about 7 years, but can be as long as 14 years. How long it lasts can be influenced by lifestyle factors, such as smoking, the age the menopausal transition begins, and race and ethnicity. During the menopausal transition, estrogen and progesterone levels, two hormones made by the ovaries, vary greatly. Women may experience unpredictable hot flashes, sleep problems, changes in monthly cycles, and other symptoms. A woman has reached menopause when she hasn't had a period for a full year, after which she enters postmenopause. Not everyone's experience is the same. But remember, menopause is a normal part of aging and not a disease that must be treated. If you have questions about the menopausal transition, talk with a doctor. Learn more at www.nia.nih.gov.
Okay,
Maria
let
is
me play this as
45
well.
and is having night sweats and trouble sleeping. She wonders, are these changes related to menopause? What are the signs and symptoms of menopause? Women begin experiencing changes in midlife that could be related to aging, the transition to menopause, or a combination of both. Often, changes happen to the menstrual cycle, the body's internal thermostat, sleep, vaginal health, sex drive, bladder health, and mood. A woman has reached menopause when she hasn't had a period for a full year. Changes in your period might be the first thing you notice. Periods may be inconsistent, shorter, longer, or lighter or heavier than usual. Many women experience hot flashes, a sudden feeling of heat during the transition and for many years after menopause. Women may start having difficulties falling and staying asleep. Hot flashes at night or night sweats can make this worse. The vagina may become drier, which can make sexual intercourse uncomfortable. Your feelings about and interest in sex may also change. Some women start to have bladder control issues. They may have a sudden urge to urinate or be unable to hold their urine. You might feel moodier or more irritable. Many women experience mild menopausal symptoms, but for others, symptoms can be severe. Not everyone's experience is the same, but remember, menopause is a normal part of aging and not a disease that must be treated. If you
Right. Okay. So now let me try and explain it further as I go into it. So, what is menopause? I'm going to I'm going to try and be as simple and clear as I can. So, menopause is medically defined as the point when a woman has not had a menstrual period for 12 consecutive months. All right. The average age is between 45 and 55 years old. But some women experience it earlier or later. It just depends on the particular person's body make. Menopause is not a single moment. It is a gradual biological transition affecting the whole body. Okay? Now, there are three stages of menopause. Yeah, we have the perimenopause, the menopause itself, and then the postmenopause. Now, the perimenopause stage, this is a stage and that can begin 5 to 10 years before menopause itself. All right. And at this stage, hormones fluctuate unpredictably, periods become irregular. Sometimes they can be heavier, lighter, and sometimes they'll be closer together. You find yourself having periods like 3 times in a month. And it's like one before one finishes, the other one starts again, and you're not really having any breather. Sometimes it can be like that. Sometimes they are so scanty, sometimes they are very heavy, but this is when the symptoms actually start. This is the beginning of the symptoms of menopause. This is the perimenopausal stage. And then the menopause itself, this is one specific point in time, and that is 12 months. If you've stayed 12 months without a period, then consider that, yeah, you're officially in menopause. Now, the post-menopause stage, this is life after menopause, and symptoms may reduce, but long-term health risks may increase without proper care. All right. And there are quite a few options and all that. So I'll discuss the options and then, and then I'll discuss the risks for the options as well as we go along. So what causes menopause? Menopause happens because the ovaries gradually reduce production of eggs, right? This leads to the declining levels of your estrogen, your progesterone, and your testosterone. Now, estrogen is a hormone that is essential for brain, for bones, for heart, for skin, and the vagina itself. All right. Now, the progesterone, it's important for your sleep, for your mood, and for your uterine health, right? The testosterone is important for your libido, your energy, and also the muscle mass. So this is why menopause affects your mood. If you're a lady, it affects the mood, the memory, the weight, the bones, the heart health, and the sexual health as well. Yeah. But menopause is not just about periods. Please, let's try and understand that. It's not just about periods. It's about a whole body shift. A whole body shift, right? Now, let's talk about the signs and the symptoms of menopause. Let's start, first of all, with the physical symptoms of menopause. And these physical symptoms, as you saw in the videos that I played earlier, they include hot flushes and night sweats, fatigue, joint and muscle pain, weight gain, especially around the abdomen, vaginal dryness, and also pain during sex. Urinary urgency or recurrent infections, when you find yourself having to always go to the toilet, and sometimes even if you go to the toilet, not a lot comes out, but you just you feel like you always need to go, or you keep having these urinary tract infection constantly, or just recurrent infections, then that's one of the symptoms. All right. Now, I have to also say that not everyone has all these symptoms. In fact, I know somebody who is in her 60s. She's in menopause. She never ever had any symptoms of menopause at all. All right. So different strokes for different folks. But also some of the symptoms you will experience will be heart palpitations as well. All right. And then you find that sometimes the hair will start thinning. and the skin changes. All right. And we're talking, when it changes, we're talking about either it loses its luster or shine because collagen is started reducing, and also it loses the plumpiness. All right. It loses the plumpiness. So because collagen is reducing as well, that's the hormone that's responsible for giving your skin elasticity reduces. And because of that, the skin starts changing. Now let's talk about the mental and emotional symptoms of menopause. We're talking brain fog. That's when, you start saying a sentence and all of a sudden you forget what you were talking about and you start like, what was I saying? And all it just seems like totally you just go blank. That's one of the symptoms of menopause, right? Poor concentration. When you find yourself not being able to concentrate, all right, or even if you read something, the next minute you've forgotten what you were reading, like you just cannot take anything in. Yeah. And then anxiety and panic symptoms is one of the symptoms of menopause. Anxiety, you start getting panic attacks as well. And, this irregular heartbeat, palpitations, you're anxious about something, you don't know what you're anxious about. Low mood and depression. A lot of women, sometimes you find them, if they're going through that period, they start, every little thing, they just start crying. They won't even know why they are crying. I mean, one minute they're happy, go lucky, they are the life and soul of the party. The next minute they're sitting down and they are crying, and they don't even understand why they're crying, or they get irritated. That's another symptom: irritability. They just get irritated, and especially for the men, if you have a lady who is in her 40s or even late 30s or mid 30s, and you see some of these symptoms that I've already talked about, then you know that it's probably possible that she's going through menopause. All right, like I said, it's not it doesn't have to be, but there are certain checks or things that she needs to do in the hospital that will help her to determine whether she actually is going through menopause or not. All right, and then another thing she will go through is insomnia. Some of them will go through insomnia where they have difficulty in sleeping. They might think maybe because they were worried about something, but if you ask them, they'll be like, I'm not really worried about anything. I just don't know why I'm not sleeping. Right? That's also one of the reasons. All right. That's also a symptom. Now, large studies published in the Lancet and also in another publication called the PubMed confirms that these symptoms are linked to the fluctuating estrogen affecting the brain chemicals. And remember, I think in some of the shows that I've done already, if you watch some of the shows I've done already, where I talked about insomnia, I talked about your sleep lied, and some other shows that I've done, I talked about serotonin and dopamine. Now, serotonin, what's is meant to help you to sleep, melatonin, serotonin, dopamine, and things like that. They're all supposed to help towards either you sleep or you wake up. It helps you to wake up. But when there's fluctuating hormones, your body is not used to, like your body just goes crazy as a woman if you're going through menopause. So this is not, and you're not imagining things when it happens. It's just biology. It's just your body talking to you. All right. Now, there were some certain things that people were asking me when I spoke to a few people about it. They were asking questions like, if you're celibate, if you've been celibate for a long time, for instance, say you're not sexually active, um, does that and like people say that if you're sexually active, you're having sex, your hormones are still ticking, your body's still doing well, you're getting the nice juices in your body and everything. As a result of that, you might have delayed menopause because your body is still receiving, like this for a man, like depositing sperm in a woman is actually quite nourishing for a woman's body as well, right? But if you're not getting that and you've been celibate for a long time, some women will say, oh, maybe that's why the menopause came early because they are not having sex, they're not sexually active. That is not the case. I just wanted to burst that myth. All right. So this answer is very scientific. sexual inactivity or celibacy does not cause menopause. Okay? Menopause is driven by a few things, a few factors: age, genetics, ovarian function, and also medical treatments. If as a lady, if God forbid you're going through chemotherapy, it can trigger menopause early. All right. If you've undergone some sort of surgery, maybe to have your ovaries removed, what do they call that? Hysterectomy, then that would obviously cause menopause because there is your ovaries are not producing any eggs, nothing's happening there. So obviously menopause will occur. All right. So sex or no sex has nothing to do with your menopause. All right. So those are the factors that I've indicated. So um, the only thing I want to clarify is that long-term sexual inactivity, if you haven't had sex for a long time, it can cause, for a lady, it can cause vaginal dryness. Where obviously, yeah, because nothing is really happening there. You've given it a holiday, so it can cause vaginal dryness. It can cause the vagina to reduce in elasticity. All right. And also, you can experience discomfort when you now want to start having sexual intercourse. You can start experiencing discomfort as a result of it because that place has been on vacation for a long time and it's not used to such activities. So you need to do certain things to be able to get it to be up and running again. You can use lubricants. You can, eat certain foods that will help stimulate it. You can do certain things to yourself. Maybe, have a nice bath, put yourself in the mood, soft music and things like that. Whatever, you and your partner need to do to get yourself in the mood, that can happen. And so that you can get yourself back into the swing. There's a movie they call How Stella Got Her Groove Back. So you can get your groove back from those things. All right. But um, the changes that you experience in your body, all right, it does not stop the ovaries. The when you have tissue changes in terms of your vaginal dryness, your reduced electricity, discomfort during sexual intercourse, these are just local tissues that are changing in your body. It has nothing to do with your menopause. All right. It's just because you've not had any sex. That's why. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're in menopause. All right. All right. And also, it doesn't shut down your hormones as well, just because you're not having sex. And it does not trigger menopause, like I said. In fact, it is usually menopause that reduces libido, not the other way around. So you find out that, like I said earlier, some of the symptoms I mentioned, I said, if a woman is going through menopause, sometimes they have low libido because their estrogen, their testosterone, their progesterone they've all reduced, so they don't have the feeling again, to to get it on. Now, another question that I was asked was that, well, with this medical improvements and modern science and everything, can menopause be prevented? Well, menopause cannot be prevented. All right. But symptoms can be managed, though. It can be managed, it can be reduced, and it can be controlled dramatically. All right. I'm going to carry on, but I'll just see what some of you have already started talking about in the comments. Um, Peter, thank you so much for Amaka. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Thank you for joining. How are you doing today, my sister? Amaka, darling, how are you doing? Peter, thank you for joining. You're waving your hand to you too. Ryan, is paranoia also a symptom? Um, well, paranoia can I don't think it is a symptom because it hasn't been said. But the thing is, the fact that somebody is paranoid or they're acting funny is also part of their hormones changing. So if you know of a lady who is experiencing or who's having this paranoia activities or whatever, or she's just acting crazy and paranoid, like everybody's against her or something like that, it might be mental health issue. but it can also be a sign of menopause. I don't know, because I haven't heard a lot of women say they've experienced paranoia yet. But you never know, because these things keep evolving. It keeps evolving. Hi, Bumi. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Now, I'm going to proceed because there are a few other things I want to share. I don't want to keep everybody too long tonight, because I understand that life carries on. I'm going to play uh, two more, no, one or two more videos, and then I will carry on after that. So please, let's watch this.
Maria is 45 and is having night sweats and trouble sleeping.
One of the most common ways of managing symptoms is by taking HRT, or hormone replacement therapy. But what is HRT? During the menopause, levels of the hormones estrogen and progesterone fall. Replacing lost estrogen is the main aim of HRT, as this helps to relieve menopausal symptoms. It also helps prevent osteoporosis, or thinning of the bones, which is more common after the menopause. Estrogen comes in patches, gels, or sprays to put on the skin, or tablets. In people with a womb who are taking estrogen HRT, progesterone is also given to protect the womb lining. This is called combined HRT. Progesterone can be given as patches, tablets, or a progesterone intrauterine system, a small device inserted into the womb. For those with low libido despite treatment with HRT, testosterone gel might be suggested. The risks of HRT are small and usually outweighed by the benefits, but HRT may not be suitable for everyone. A family doctor can help provide more information about HRT and the risks and benefits. It is important to note that HRT is not a form of contraception, and a doctor will also be able to advise about suitable contraceptive methods. Are there any alternatives to HRT? There are medications that help with hot flushes, and antidepressants are sometimes used for low mood or anxiety. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is a form of talking therapy which can also help. Alternative therapies such as herbal remedies are also available. However, the evidence of these is limited, and it is important to talk to a doctor before starting any complementary therapies. Going through the menopause can have a big impact on daily life, work, and relationships, and it is therefore common to feel low and anxious. If this is the case, it's important to let your doctor and loved ones know. Charities and patient support groups can provide more information and support, both in person and online. So, while the menopause can be difficult to go through, there are many treatment options and sources of support available to help people navigate this period of their lives and feel more like their usual selves. We hope this health sketch has been helpful to you and those around you.
Amy is 49 and approaching menopause. She wonders, are there ways to ease the transition? What tips can help with menopause? Managing symptoms and staying as healthy as possible can help ease the transition for many. If you get hot flashes, take note of what triggers them. And try making changes to your lifestyle. For example, you can dress in layers, carry a portable fan, and avoid alcohol, spicy foods, and caffeine. Hot flashes, especially night sweats, and changes in mood can contribute to poor sleep. Try following a regular sleep schedule and calming bedtime routine. If you're having symptoms that make sex painful, try water-based lubricants, moisturizers, or medication. In addition to symptoms, it is also important to manage the increased risk for heart disease and osteoporosis that comes with menopause. Take care to not smoke or use tobacco products. Eat a healthy diet. Get enough calcium and vitamin D. Maintain a healthy weight. And be physically active. Not everyone's experience is the same, but remember, menopause is a normal part of aging and not a disease that must be treated. If your symptoms are bothering you, talk with a doctor about approaches you can take to ease the transition. Learn more at www.nia.nih.gov/menopause.
Right. Okay. So let us continue. I played those videos first because I just want to go through the remaining part of the narration without any more interruptions. So let's talk about the treatment options, right? Oh, first of all, somebody asked. I did say that menopause cannot be reversed, right? But women can obviously live healthily and joyfully after menopause. So life doesn't end with menopause, right? So the treatment options, we talked about, I showed you the video just about the hormone replacement therapy, right? Now, hormone replacement therapy replaces the declining hormones such as the estrogen and the progesterone. And this has been endorsed by the National Health Service in the United Kingdom, the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence, the British Menopausal Society. They recommend this for people. I will talk about the side effects of it as well, because it's always good to know the pluses and the minuses of this HRT. Now, the side effects, and this is very important, because while HRT helps many women, the possible side effects include breast tenderness, nausea, headaches, bloating, mood changes. Imagine that, right? You're going through menopause, and one of the symptoms of menopause is your mood will change. All right, you get so some women actually get suicidal. They literally want to just get a knife and just start, you know, chuck, 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 chuck like that. It gets that bad with some women. Okay, now you decide to take HRT. Meanwhile, you're already feeling that way. And one of the side effects is mood changes. So how is that going to help, right? Now, the potential risk also, depending on the type and the dose and the individual that's involved, the risk factors are you can also get increased risk of blood clots, right? Blood clots, increased risk of stroke, all right? You can also get slight increase in breast cancer. All right. So there's a risk of cancer with long-term combined therapy. All right. If you keep taking it for a long time, there is very high risk of contracting cancer as a result of it. All right. Now, there's increased risk for women with a history of hormone sensitive cancers as well. All right. And HRT is not suitable for everyone. It's not. It should be individualized and medically supervised. Not every woman. And yesterday I was watching a show where they were interviewing one of these actresses. She's a Nollywood actress, and she was talking about, she's in menopause, and she was singing about it and saying, oh, she would advise every woman to go for HRT because it just kills all the symptoms and just makes your life easier and everything. And I almost wanted to go through the computer to say, stop it, don't advise people wrongly like that, because not everybody can stand the risks and the side effects of HRT. So you need to make sure that you're aware of these risks before you actually decide that you want to go for HRT. All right. So who should avoid HRT then? Women with a risk of breast cancer should avoid HRT. Women with unexplained vaginal bleeding should avoid HRT. Women with previous blood clots or stroke definitely should avoid HRT. If you had certain liver conditions, definitely HRT is a no-no. Right? So this is why it's important for women to get educated about it first before they decide to jump into it. I know a lot of women who went into menopause and they decided, yeah, I understand I have the hot flashes. I understand I'm going through all this or whatever. I'm just going to ride it out. I'm just going to ride it out because, my mother had HRT. My mother had menopause. She didn't have HRT. She wrote it out and she's fine. My grandmother and, women in the villages and all those other places, they don't know what HRT is about. They go through menopause and they survive it. So they are going to, and they're fine. So there are women who decided to not to even bother with HRT. But if you are going to have HRT, then please be informed about the risks first before you jump into it. Now, let me see what your comments are first before we talk about the remedies, the holistic remedies and the medical stuff. Amaka says HRT can induce breast cancer. Yeah, like we said, endometrial cancer and risk of blood clot, medically speaking. I believe there may be other natural ways to tackle menopause rather than HRT, etc. Talk to doctor instead if you're going through menopause. Absolutely. It's just a confirmation of what I was talking about just now. Honestly, if you ask me, as a woman, I would say that the risks, that are associated with HRT, it outweighs the benefits. But that's my opinion. I cannot speak for anybody else, but I would say, with all the side effects that we've talked about now, why would a woman want to go for HRT just because they want to feel a bit of a relief? But what about the other side effects that you don't even know whether your body makeup, will be able to tolerate or not? Because some people might not even go, they can take HRT and they're fine. They live their best lives, no side effects whatsoever. But who's to say that you will be the same? So it's a risk that one has to bear in mind. Now, let's talk about the natural and holistic alternatives, right? Because we talked about the HRT now. Now, plant-based nutrition as well. For example, there are some plants and some plant compounds like the phytoestrogens that are found in plants like soy, flax seeds, lentils. These compounds are very good. Let me see if I can find a picture of some of the things that you should be having. All these seeds that you can see, um, all kinds of lentils, flax seeds, soy seeds, chia seeds, sunflower seeds, black beans, red peas, just name it. All kinds of nuts and seeds are really good because they've got all the phytoestrogens and omega-3 fatty acids and all the stuff that you really need to help your hormones actually be balanced. All right. So this is very, very important, right? Now, there are other things also. I talked about the omega-3 fatty acids just now. And if you've watched some of the shows that I've done, in fact, the last few shows, probably about 4 or 5 shows that I've done, I've talked about omega-3 fatty acids, whether I'm talking about your prostate or sleep or foods that are best to support health and things like that. I've talked about omega-3 fatty acids. Now, these are some of the foods that you would want to consider eating if you're going through menopause because they are rich in omega-3. We're talking salmon, mackerel, we're talking eggs, seafood, foods like this are fantastic. They are fantastic for it. We're talking about walnuts, flax seeds, and all that, right? Tuna, eggs, spinach, all this is olive oil. They are very, very good for helping to manage the condition. So vitamin D and magnesium. Now we know that omega-3 is for your brain and your joints, right? We know that, right? Vitamin D is for bones. It really helps to steady your bones and ensure that you don't start suffering from all kinds of osteoporosis and things like that, right? So vitamin D is really good. Magnesium. Now, we said one of the symptoms for menopause was insomnia. One of the things that magnesium is known for is aiding sleep. All right. Not only does it aid sleep, but also it helps to curb anxiety. So if you're going through menopause or you're going through any of the phases, whether it's perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause, all this stuff I've talked about and magnesium should never leave your home. All right, you should always have them because magnesium will help you sleep well also and help manage anxiety. Now, for lifestyle, obviously, we know that if you exercise, like you're walking, you do strength training. If you do strength training, it helps to prevent bone loss, right? And it helps to obviously develop your muscle mass. Because one of the symptoms, like we said earlier, is that the muscle reduces, all right, muscle loss. So if you do strength training, it helps to build your muscle mass again. And I'm not saying you have to go to the gym or whatever. You can do little things at home to help build your muscle mass. All right. And then walking, because walking and cardiovascular exercises will help with a healthy heart. Okay. And then obviously, like as we showed in the video earlier on, you need to be able to manage your sleep routines, right? Set a routine for yourself where you know that this is your pattern and make sure that you stick to it. All right. Your sleep routine has to be managed properly so that you can get the adequate sleep that you need. And then very important also, stress management. Now, I know that is easier said than done because we know what life is about. The vicissitudes of life will not allow somebody to, sometimes just live a stress-free life. But if you can try as much as you can to manage your stress, that would help with managing menopause and the symptoms associated with it. Okay. Now let's talk about the herbal options. Now, I don't know whether you guys have heard of this herb called black cohort. All right, black cohosh. This is what it looks like. Now, if you this because it's a herb and it grows in gardens recklessly, right? If you see this in your garden as a woman, don't think it's just another garden you just plant, you just want to throw it away, right? This is black cohosh and it's been found to help manage the symptoms, okay, of menopause. Black cohosh, and that is Cohosh, black cohosh. All right. Now, another one is the evening primrose. All these are stuff that just grows recklessly in the garden, you know, that you don't even have to worry about. But, you can buy these in capsules, though, like this black cohosh and evening primrose, and the other one I'm going to mention in a minute. You can buy them in chemists. If obviously if you don't have them growing in the garden or whatever, you can just buy them in bottle form, and you can drink them. The other one is red clover, right? This is what it looks like. All right. If you see it somewhere in the garden, or you find it anywhere you want to buy it, this is what you can have it. It's very good to help manage the symptoms of menopause. Now, let's proceed, okay? Now, let's talk about the kind of foods. I have mentioned them already, but just to highlight them again. Before menopause, if you find yourself in the perimenopausal stage, all right, you should try to eat foods that are like high in fiber. Foods that are high in fiber, all right? You should eat foods that are high in fiber. You should eat foods that are lean protein. Protein. I don't know whether for example, chicken, for instance, is lean protein. All right, especially if you remove the skin. Fiber-rich foods are, anything that has to do with your vegetables, oats, and things like that. Wheat, lentils, things like that are high in fiber. All right. Um, Chicken, healthy fats. And we talked about omega-3 oils just now. Olive oil, avocado oil, things like that are healthy fats that haven't got any cholesterol in them. You want to be able to eat and, take foods like that. And also iron-rich foods. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people, I know people who become anemic and they actually take liver. They buy liver. All right. They mercy. Not everyone has your lovely garden, Queen. I'm sorry, darling. I'm sorry. Yeah. Try so you can get it you can get it in chemists, okay? My garden is actually quite tiny, but I plant a lot of things in it because I am all about organic stuff, So I plant stuff in my garden, I have to say, and I'm already getting ready again for the next planting season and stuff because it's important, for us to do these things. All right. I don't just preach, I try to practice what I preach, But yeah, so try as much as you can to eat iron rich foods. I know people, like I said, who just go to the store and buy liver, like a cow liver or goat or pig liver, whatever, and just cook it and just eat it because it's rich in iron. All right. But there are foods that are also rich in iron that you can eat, like your lentils as well, for example, like the black beans, for example, they're rich in all these iron compounds and all that that can help you to boost your iron intake. And then you can take your iron supplements, your iron supplements, your tablets and all that. You can take those as well. Yeah, you can take those as well. Okay. And then also during menopause, so what I talked about earlier was when you're perimenopausal stage, when you start getting all those perimenopausal symptoms. But when you're now in your menopause, you need protein at every meal that you eat. You have to have protein in it. Okay. We know what proteins are. Like I said, it's still the same foods, your lentils, your beans, and stuff like that. I'm not an advocate for meat, for red meat, but it contains protein. So if you want to have some red meat, but you can substitute your red meat for things like your soy seeds, your flax seeds, your chia seeds, tofu, things like that, because they're very high in protein. You can substitute red meat for that. But if you want to still have your red meat, just eat it in moderation, because I'm not really an advocate for meat, to be honest with you. But if you have to, then yeah, just in moderation, right? Also, calcium rich foods. All right. And you know what those calcium rich foods will be. We know that, for example, actually, I have a cousin or an auntie who, when you give her a piece of chicken, right, she will put the skin aside, she will sit down and she will chew the bone of that chicken. She will break the bone and she will chew it all. She will finish the bone. And she has very strong teeth. As we speak, she still has very, very strong teeth because she's eating lots and lots of calcium. So look for foods that are very high in calcium, all right? And eat those foods. And all this stuff that I talked about, a lot of them actually contain not just protein, but they contain other minerals like calcium, magnesium, and so on and so forth. So, and some people don't like certain foods because they react to them. So just do, just do a try and error, find the foods that best go with your body mechanism, with your body, make, and stick to those foods as long as they are rich in protein, in iron, in calcium, in vitamins. Then please go ahead, but make sure though that you also eat foods that will support your gut health. I've done shows on gut health. If you scroll through my videos, you will see that I've done at least 3 shows about your gut. And I did say in these shows that 80% of the information that your brain receives comes from the gut, comes from your stomach. So if your stomach, if your gut is not happy, your digestive system, your stomach, your digestive system is not happy, trust me, it will affect every other part of your body, because 80% of the information the brain receives comes from your gut. So it's important that you make sure that your gut feeds well. And the things that can help you with feeding and supporting your guts are, go and watch those videos, because it's like I don't want to keep reinventing the wheel. All right. You will see what I'm talking about. Things like yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, things like that. They help your guts, And when I talk about, I'm not talking about those sweet yogurts that you find, strawberry flavor and this, that. And I'm talking about those are not yogurts. All right. Those are not the real stuff. I'm talking about real yogurts that have got biocultures in them. When you taste them, they slap your face. Like they're really sour, They've got live cultures in them. All right. That's why I talked about in one of the shows, I talked about Mediterranean diet, because one of the things I love about Mediterranean diet is the fact that there are yogurts as well, and their kefires that they make, and sauerkraut that they make, and they add to your food. They're so rich in these bio cultures, and they really support your gut health. So make sure you have foods like that that supports your gut health. Also, please reduce ultra processed foods. No more donuts and sweets and biscuits and all that. I know I have to tell myself that, because my weakness, I mean, everybody's allowed a vice. One of my main vices is actually ice cream, and I'm still struggling with that, but I don't take it as often as I used to. Before, like, I can have ice cream like 5 times a week, but now maybe like once a month or once in 2 months, I can just have a little taste of ice cream, which is not too bad. But sugar, ultra processed foods, all these takeaways all the time, all these ready-made meals, all these donuts and all kinds of stuff, please reduce them, because there's nothing about them that is actually good, because some of the chemicals that they use to process these foods are actually harmful for you. So you don't really need to have them. All right. And then after menopause, the other foods that you need to eat are foods that are very helpful when it comes to reducing inflammation. Because one of the things that happens also is, like, your bone can, you have bone issues, like we talked about earlier on, but the inflammation can actually start occurring. People start suffering from arthritis and all kinds of other little ailments and all that. So one of the things you need to do is to try to have anti-inflammatory diets. All right. Now, I personally, one of the things I take, and I take it all the time, is turmeric and black pepper. All right. I also take collagen as well, because it helps not only with maintaining the skin's elasticity, but it helps to also support your bone health. So anti-inflammatory diets like that will really help. And there are foods that can actually help. Like I mentioned, all these foods that I've talked about, they also will help with inflammation one way or another. All right. And then, like I said, focus on your bone after you've started having your menopause. After the menopausal stage, you need to focus on your heart and your bone health as well. And then inflammation, prevent anti-inflammation. Okay. And like I said, you definitely need to protect your muscles, which means you need to have adequate protein to prevent muscle loss. Okay. Now, a few other questions that I feel that maybe somebody might want to ask is, oh, is menopause a disease? For some people, who do not know, no, it's not a disease. It's a natural biological transition. Okay. Now, does menopause end sex life? Does it end intimacy? Because a lot of women don't want their husbands. As a matter of fact, one of the things that somebody told me was that she started to detest her partner. She didn't even want anything that has to do with sex. She lost her libido completely. But even when her husband would touch her, she would cringe. She just did not want anything to do with that. All right. But it doesn't have to be so. With the right foods, with the right treatments, with the right, therapy. And I'm not talking about HRT. If you want to go for HRT, fine, please go right ahead. At least you know what the risks are. But with the right support, with the right foods and everything, you don't have to lose your intimacy with your partner. You can still have a normal sex life, all right? And your intimacy can improve as a result of the fact that you're doing something about menopause. All right. Now, not all women, like I said, has to go for HRT. All right. So treatment is, as and when, I guess, it's a personalized thing. All right. Doesn't have to, not everybody would go with it. Right. Um, Robin says, can't you just infuse your donuts and ice cream with evening primrose and these other herbal addictions? I'll tell you what I've done, Robin, actually. So, like yesterday, for instance, because like I said, I used to be a bit of a sweet tooth. I have to admit, I've always been. I'm not a big eater, and it's always been even when I was a child. I was a real diva when I was a child. I would not eat everything anybody else is eating. I want my own special food and all. I was very picky, and even till now, I'm still very picky when it comes to what I eat. And that's why I decided to have my own little, farm and all that, so that I can eat good organic stuff. But yesterday, I felt so peckish. I wanted to have biscuits. I really felt like having biscuits. Normally, I will buy all the biscuits I can find, but no, I stopped buying biscuits. So instead, I made my own biscuits, and I've done that before. About a month ago, I made my own biscuits, but instead of using flour, I used oats. All right, I made oats biscuits, and I made cake with oats in them as well. I made oat cake, and it tastes just as good. And I don't feel good. I didn't even add any sugar either. All right. Instead of me to use sugar, I used dates. All right. I blended dry dates. I grounded it like powder, added it to my ground oats, and then I mixed everything else that I needed to mix. So no sugar. I just added milk and everything else I wanted to add. I made it as natural and as healthy as possible. So I can still have all the biscuits that I need, that I want, and and I'm fine. Okay. I can still have my, in fact, my ice cream. I'm gonna start making my own ice cream as well. I don't buy popcorn outside, for instance. I make my own popcorn. Okay. I don't add any sugar or anything at all to it. If I want to add anything at all, maybe a little bit of salt, and it's not just regular processed salt. I have the real pink Himalayan salt or the Celtic salt. So yeah. So Robin, about infusing your ice cream in with evening primrose, I guess it's something that one can try. There is no harm in experimenting. I'm all for experimenting, to be honest with you. So I can try that and see what happens. I'm not sure about the donut bit, but maybe with ice cream, I can try evening primrose ice cream. Wow, that's a good idea. So yeah, Robin says oat biscuits are not oat biscuits unless they are dark chocolate hobnobs, the king of biscuits. Wow. Well, the thing is, even those hobnobs, they've got sugar in them, Robin. They've got sugar in them. And that's why I avoid sugar. I don't take sugar anymore. I haven't had sugar in years. Okay. When my brother comes, all right, he wants to have sugar. I don't even buy sugar in the house anymore. If I have to buy sugar, I buy coconut sugar. And that's because when he comes, he still likes his sugar. I don't even have the coconut sugar. I just buy it there. If I really, 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 really need sugar, I'll put honey instead, or I'll put the sugar alternatives, which is the healthiest one, not even the other ones that they talk about. I don't even know what they're called. I don't even eat any of those. So try as much as I can to um to minimize processed foods in any shape or form that they come. I just try and minimize them. Okay. Now, menopause is not, a breakdown. For women, I'm trying to sum everything I've said. It's not a breakdown, all right? Your system hasn't failed, all right? It is not a failure. It is not the end of womanhood. It's only a transition. A transition, that's all it is. And transition demands knowledge, honesty, and support. So you've got the knowledge now. All right. Because when women are informed, they stop thinking that there's something wrong with them, that they are sick or they have some sort of disease. All right. They stop blaming themselves. They stop suffering in silence and they start to thrive because they have the knowledge now. All right. And then they get the right support. So that's why it's important for men also and your children, if you've got grown up kids and all that, to watch this show so that when you're exhibiting all those symptoms as a woman, your partner will understand that this is exactly why you're going through what you're going through. Okay. And they can provide you with all the support that you need. All right. So this conversation is no longer an option. All right. It's not optional, it is necessary. And it is long overdue. Okay. Thank you so much. This ends my show tonight, guys. And I hope somebody's learned something. Um, I think it's very important for us to know these things because it really helps, right? I've had requests again, and funny enough, next week I'm going to be talking about fibroids. I actually had it in mind to discuss fibroids, and then I got a text from Ryan asking me to do a show on fibroids. I'm like, the Spirit of God is one, because I already had it in mind to talk about next week. So next week, we're going to be doing a show on fibroids, okay? Trust me, a lot of women have especially women of ethnic minority, are going through fibroids. Some know it, some don't even know they have it. But there are certain things we're going to talk about that would enlighten people to fibroids. We'll talk about if it can be treated, if it cannot be treated, the kind of foods that you would, need, or do you need to start thinking about eating and all that. Can it be prevented or not? All those things we'll talk about next week. All right. But this is where we're going to leave it tonight, my royals. Thank you all so much for joining. I really and truly appreciate your time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, so Bumi, I hope this has been informative for you. I know you were one of the people that was asking me about menopause. All the ladies here, even Amaka, Mercy. I hope this has been informative for you. Maureen, Riri, everybody, Rita, Priscilla, everybody who's here, who's watched, and for the men, Nicole as well. I hope this has been informative for you. And for all the men that are here also joining this show, I hope this would, you know, at least give you an idea of what to expect if you haven't already started seeing the symptoms in your partner or your mom or your sister and things like that. This has informed you a little bit more. But thank you once again for watching. And yeah, you're all very welcome. And have a good week ahead. Until next time, please like this video. Please come back and comment. Last week, you guys, you still don't come back and comment. I think Robin did that. I think Maureen has done that also before. Please, please always come back before the end, at the end of the show, maybe like 1 or 2 minutes after the end of the show, and just put something in the comments, because all these comments will be hidden again by YouTube. All right, or except you go and search for them, you will know that they are somewhere on the side of the video. So please always come back and comment on it, because that comment will enable YouTube to know that, okay, there's engagement in this video, so let's push it out to somebody else for somebody else to watch. Okay, don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. I know somebody definitely will need to watch this video. Okay, until next week, my royals, I love you all so much and I really appreciate you. Thank you all for your support. Be bold, be kind, be empowered. Like, I love you all so much. God bless you. Bye for now. Maureen, thank you all. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you. Take care. Have a good week, everyone. Bye.
Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Unlock your true potential. Empower your mind, body, and soul. Live with intentions, live with a purpose. Empower your dreams, make it happen today. No matter your age, rise and shine. Live boldly, live authentically. It's your time to rise and shine. Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Your journey starts today. You've got one life to live. Love yourself, be kind to others, break free and let your spirit soar. Empower life with Cleopatra will help you awaken the best version of